Plantastic Sparkle. Diamond is in the house. What's
Oh,
up,
there.
Diamond?
Oh, just gathered up some special plants and special rocks, and I'm super excited. We're finally sitting down to do this. I know we've been talking about it for a long time, so
We had some back and forth. I've had to cancel a couple times. It's been pretty a busy time, and I know in your life too because I talked to you quite a bit.
yes, it has been quite an adventure, but a good one. Just big life changes and kind of uprooting a bit and rerouting, and but it's been good. So
And where are you talking to me from in the country?
right now I am in High Point, North Carolina. So
High
this is
Point,
my
North
first time living here, but I've pretty much been in North Carolina my whole life, except for a couple months here and there. So
Carolina. Did you bounce around a lot?
yes, bounced around a lot with my mom, but for most of the time I was with my grandmother. So it was a lot of back and forth between uh, short stints with mom and long stints with grandma, and grandma was still working at the time and traveling all up and down the East Coast. So, you know, when it was good, it was good.
Yeah.
But
Now the tables have turned, right? You're taking care of grandma, right?
that's right. That's right. She had been living in Georgia for quite some time, and she just needed a much higher level of care. So she moved up here about 3 years ago. She was in an independent living facility, which is it's like an apartment for the elderly. They have a lot of freedoms and they can still do a lot for themselves. And then she had a fall, and they
Mm.
determined like she would either have to go to a serious nursing home where she can't get up by herself, or live with someone. So, I wasn't going to let grandma go to the nursing home. She's still got plenty of good years left. So it
I'm
was
really
well worth it.
I'm really sorry to hear that. And the sacrifices that have to be made to do what you're doing, I mean, those are endless. So, I mean, my hat's off to you. I can't even imagine.
It's strange. We have the same birthday, and I think I kind of always knew that when this day came, if no one else was going to do it, I would be there. I just didn't know when that day would come. So it came at a good time. Um, I'm glad she was already up here and it wasn't, trying to relocate her states away. And so it's been as good as it could be.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, you learn a lot and you stay positive, and it's good for everyone. So
So, bouncing around a lot, is it hard for you to like set roots in now, or have you gotten to a point where you're starting to?
Um, it's interesting because I feel like you get so used to moving around, and then
Mhm.
when you don't, it's like, well, what do I do? Am I stuck in this place? And it feels so unfamiliar at first, but probably the last 10 years has been more stable than it was in my childhood as far as moving around. So even though we have moved maybe like 4 times in the last 10 years,
Yeah.
it's a lot better than every 3 months, every 6 months. So, but now that we're in the house we're in now, I think we're going to be here for quite some time. That's the goal. We're here until grandma is not here anymore. Not to be morbid, but that's just,
Yeah.
you know, but
Man.
yeah, it feels like a little cookie cutter neighborhood, something I'm not used to, but she loves it. So it's good, safe and quiet.
Were you used to a little bit more wildness?
Yeah, for the most part. And that's just what feels normal. I usually felt safe where I was living, but maybe other people wouldn't because, they had a different normal. And
Yeah.
yeah. Mm. So
I
this
relate.
feels weird to me. People are out walking together and everyone wants to chat and
Saying
everyone
hi to
knows.
each other.
Yeah, yeah, it's very it's like a movie, but it's been okay. It's different, but
Well, if I'm reading the situation right, like um I've been through a similar situation, and for people like myself, I'll speak for myself at least, before I hear more about your story. Like that kind of environment is probably good for somebody like me that was comfortable in chaos and you know out there wilding out for long periods of time. And yeah, it can feel really stagnant and boring. I trust me, like I'm living this family life now. I'm very grounded. Like everything's super mellow.
yeah.
And I'm like, when's everything gonna fall apart? when,
Right,
where's the fucking big explosion where the ladder gets pulled out from underneath me? Because that's what I'm used to.
right. That's what you're prepared for.
Hmm.
And I have found that like if I keep waiting for that to happen, it's not necessarily that I create those moments. It's just it's almost like an anxiety because I am
Hmm.
waiting for it. I'm like, when's it going to crumble? But I've had to adjust really fast, especially in these last 2 months, but even before then. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know where I was going to go with that,
Well,
but
yeah, people tend to self-sabotage that have come from
yeah,
that background.
yeah, you want
We
to
look,
create it
yeah,
and you don't
we
mean to.
create the chaos
Uh,
that we once were comfortable in, and slash maybe like low key cross addicted to.
right, right. And yeah, I've been able to do a lot of meditating here just for the simple fact that I'm really not able to leave the house much. She
Yeah.
needs someone there 24/7.
Wow.
But you just have to find that peace like within yourself, and you have to create a peaceful space. And that's been a little bit of a challenge because when you're living with someone, we really don't know the details like on her memory, what it is specifically. She still has to get like an assessment, but you can't have a lot of clutter around. You cannot have like things on the floor or have anything be highly decorated because it confuses them. So it's like,
Mm,
how can I make it look nice and make her feel at home? And can I make all these plants not look overwhelming and look
mm,
welcoming instead? And so that's been part of the process, which it's been great. Like at first she was like, look at all these plants, I hate it, but she loves
mhm.
plants. So now that things are coming together, she's like, oh, these are nice, I love this.
Sounds like it was a good opportunity to get creative. And also, so the pandemic didn't really make a difference in your life currently, anyways, because you're going to be doing this no matter what. Right.
Right, right. And the weird thing is even before the pandemic hit, I was already doing like a remote job. I was doing project management remotely.
Cool.
And pretty much from the time I started with that company up until the time I left, we were pretty much expected to do like 8 to 10 hours overtime a week. And when you do that for months on end and you don't leave the house, like COVID came and it was like, okay, well, we're just going to keep doing this. So
Yeah.
at least I was prepared. So in a way, I've been preparing for this for quite some time now.
Yeah. So when did the plants come into your story?
um, they came in big time, probably like December of 2019.
Okay.
I had dabbled in plants before then, but just for like short periods of time, and then everything would die, and you just throw that to the side for a little bit. But December 2019, that was I think I was like 4 months into that job, doing 50 hours a week every week, and just trapped at that desk in my house. And it was like, I need something. I got to have something. And I read that
Yeah.
plants helped with stress and they helped with focus. I was like, yeah, I have stress and I need focus. So we'll get some plants. And then it just exploded from there very quickly. And then COVID hit a few months later. So even more so.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fascinating that you saw plants as a solution to your stress.
Oh,
Here's
absolutely.
what
That
about it?
was
What is that?
I think it's I guess it helps when like you've got anxiety and your mind is just constantly trying to think of all the scenarios, usually the very worst things that could happen and will probably never happen.
Mm,
And you just it's like, what do you do? What do you do with all that that's going on constantly? And just having something to keep my hands busy was great. I used to write a lot, just journaling, poetry, and that was a great outlet. But
beautiful.
I, yeah, I found like getting older, it was being in places for a long time and settling in and not having much chaos, like the creativity that came would come through all of that like and into my writing and just wasn't there. So writing wasn't really getting it for a little while. And I
Mm,
just needed something. So it's better than a lot of things. That's what I tell people. It could be worse.
So arguably chaos helped facilitate your creative process. And when it was
Absolutely.
removed, didn't feel the same.
Absolutely.
It's
I
fucking cool,
remember
man.
like, yeah, I used to write just really dark poetry, and it was, oh God, it was just, you would read it and be like a 13-year-old, how, what have you even experienced in life like that you're writing this? And it was just very dark. And it seems like I don't really get that same creative feeling from the good times, because I don't know what to do with those as much.
There's no pain to channel.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, how do I channel peace and happiness? And it's like
Right.
those things just are like,
Yeah. No,
no,
I
I
feel
feel
that.
like, yeah, I feel like you just enjoy that. So
And these things can like serve a purpose in the times where you needed them most. So like at the time, like it was probably really useful and helpful and you were able to channel that. But now it's like, we evolve and we grow, and sometimes we outgrow our hobbies even, or have to take time away from them and return to them, with that
oh yeah,
nostalgia, and try again. And it's so much different. Like as you get older, it's crazy when you revisit things that maybe you lost sight of for a long period of time,
right.
and then you go back to it and it's totally different, because you're different.
Yeah. um I know, like, just for me personally, I am just not the same person. I mean, no one's the same person they were 20 years ago, but um I know there was a lot of changes that, like, I had to make in my life, or I wasn't going to make it. So I feel like that fueled uh a lot of change, like a lot of growth. Like, I had to grow, or it was not going to be a good situation for me mentally. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's why I have a disdain for the view, or when people say people don't change, because I know so many people that have drastically changed their lives like night and day. I mean, I was
Right.
a monster, a monster. You couldn't even recognize me. And so many other people I know that have like just become such like polar opposites of what they once were.
Right. I know quite a few people like that. I know quite a few people that have sadly not changed a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Yeah.
Um, so I think when you just see evidence of both, it's like, how can you say some people don't change? And what an insult, to
Yeah.
people who have just had these huge journeys in their life. Not that, everyone goes through something, but some of them they're very dark, and they can seem very bleak, and not everyone makes it.
Yeah. It's not black and white, and
No. Or-
it takes like a lot of heart for somebody to, and like perseverance to come out of the type of situations that I recall being in,
Yep.
survival mode for
Yep.
many years, just trying to get by,
Yep.
and like, and it's not to excuse the type of behaviors that I engaged in, but like I look back at it with like a sense of compassion, because I was just trying to get by with what, what I had and what I knew with the tools I had at that time. And I did some pretty terrible shit, but I learned from it and I grew from it, and I wouldn't be able to be where I am today without all those things.
Oh yeah, I relate very heavily just to all that. Um, Definitely a lot of things that I used to beat myself up over,
Yeah.
and I think it's normal, to have regret, but at the same time, it's like, if you're not gonna forgive yourself and move on, what are you gonna do? Just gonna
Yeah.
wallow in it forever? And so,
Living in the
yeah, we got to
past.
forgive ourselves. We got to be kind to ourselves, uh,
Yeah.
especially when we've come so far.
Yeah. Yeah. What does that look like to you? Like whenever I talk to you, like you always have interesting shit to say, and you're always like super passionate, and uh, you know, it sounds like based on some recent conversations we've had, that like you've been doing a lot of growth lately. Like what you mentioned, meditation, that's something that you're using, right?
Yeah, I've always lightly meditated, but I think it has become a necessity, especially. I feel like if you're trying to do that personal growth, it's like you've got to take time to just be still and be calm and let everything just rest for a minute. And I know for me, I'm a lot more patient than I used to be, but it can be, it can test your patience sometimes when you are, I mean, in a very new situation, and when you are, you're kind of in a position where the child becomes the parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I deal with a lot of frustration from my grandmother because of that. And I have to remember, like, this is hard for her too. And I can't imagine being 84 and someone having to remind me to use my walker correctly every time I get up. Like, that's got to be frustrating for her. But when she gets impatient with me, like, I really got to just be like, okay, grandma, and I gotta go sit down. I gotta walk away, let her do her thing. And like, I just need to take a few breaths and remember where I am. And like,
Yeah.
this isn't something that's happening that she's doing intentionally even. Some of it is really just because I don't know if it's early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're waiting on a professional to give some feedback again, but it just really requires patience. It's like having a newborn.
Yeah.
And, I definitely wish I could have been a more patient mother when I was younger, but I'm getting like a second chance now to
Yeah.
just remember we're all human and just be cool and be patient. And so the meditation is like, I have to do that. I've got to
Yeah.
do that every day now. I
Wow.
also, like, I smudge every day. And while I'm doing my smudging, like, I find myself meditating then and just thinking, like, what do I want to, like, bring into my life? What do I want to improve on? Do I need to forgive myself for anything? Think about the
Nice.
people I love and send them good vibes, whether it's people on Instagram, my plant friends, or my family, my grandmother, whoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's been great too, because that just helps, like, you get that positive mindset going. And like, maybe you can't directly affect someone's life, but I'm a big believer that energies, they have an interesting way of working. So
Yeah.
what we're putting out, it's making it somewhere.
It does for
Yeah.
sure. I see it come
So,
back to me, and that's why I believe
yeah.
in prayer for sure, and ritual and all of that. Like, even just like sending out energy and not necessarily like praying to my higher power. Although sometimes I try to do that too, but like just sending energy out to the world for sure. And the ritual of smudging for sure. Like I had a sponsor in AA. He told me the root word of spiritual is a ritual. So uh, to be spiritual is to have something that you exercise your spirit ritualistically, or also known as daily, and so it sounds like that's what you're doing, and it's
Absolutely.
useful.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's like taking care of plants. That's a ritual all in
Yes.
itself. um that is a very meditative
Yeah.
meditative
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but also you can kind of lose yourself in it and just giving back a little life to the universe in that
Yes.
sense, I guess.
Nothing else matters when you're tending to your plants, that's for sure.
That's right.
So
The
you
important
you
stuff.
don't discriminate on plants. I've noticed you have everything, right? What do you got over there?
Everything. A little bit of everything. Some things I stay away from. I'm not a super big fan. I don't even know, like, the names of all of these plants that I'm not a fan of. But like high maintenance plants, I can't do that. I used to love the carnivorous plants, and after like six died, I was like, it's been a good run. I'm just gonna let it go. But at this point, it really is a little bit of everything. I've been doing a lot of propagating. I'll propagate anything I can figure out how to propagate.
Mm,
Being at home a lot, you're like, well, I'll just make some more plants, I guess. So
yeah.
I have found myself with, I've got like 30 pots of plants that just, I don't need them. I just make them and they sit there. So, but yeah, I did bring some special ones to share
Rad.
if you would like to see them.
Yes, of course.
All right, where will I start? So this one is very unique to me because I'm not big on personally handling like an outdoor garden. but I don't know if you can see that well. This is
Mm-hmm.
a Mexican sour gherkin. It's a type of cucumber, and I'm just going to keep it small. And I don't know if it's going to make a cucumber or not, but I'm pretty stoked about this plant of all the plants in my collection.
Oh,
A seedling
interesting.
we grew. Yeah.
You grew it from
Um,
seed?
yeah, I did not. I'm not going to take the credit for that. My partner grew that from seed.
Cool.
I can't grow anything from seeds, which is wild. You know, I can propagate anything. I can root just about anything. I can't grow things from seed. Too much maintenance.
Mm,
Even though it's supposed to be set it and forget it, I feel like it is not that easy.
no, you're right.
Maybe.
Have you tried the ice
Maybe.
cream container method?
I don't think so.
So on Amazon, they have, I don't know, for like $4 or something, you can get these little ice cream containers like you would get a to-go ice cream in. And
Right.
I sow seeds in that and I put it in the windowsill. And unfortunately, sometimes mold will come, but as long as everything's sanitary beforehand, it's been very self-sufficient. I don't open
Right.
it. It's been in there for months. I haven't had to open it, nothing. So just an
See,
idea.
I'm gonna have to try that because I tried Hunter's original seed sowing method, Cactus
Mm-hmm.
Quest.
Cactus
Yes.
Quest.
Yep. And I think that was in like the little, very similar to what you described, like the little plastic containers kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried that. I don't know. I don't know what went wrong. Like nothing grew. I was, and then I did a lot in like different mediums, sealed up in like a plastic bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I ended up getting, I have 11 seedlings out of like 200 that I planted that are still going. And it's like all the basic ones. Like I had Areocarpus seeds, they did not make it. Astrophytum seeds, they did not make it. And some Copia poa seeds that did not make it. And I was
Mm.
super disappointed. And I was like, you know what? No, it's not for me right now.
You
So,
doing windowsill outside? Have you ever done lights inside at all? I don't know
yep.
what's your weather like over there.
Right now it is hot and humid, but it's starting to cool down. We experience all four seasons,
Mm,
but I would say there's probably only 6 to 8 months where you could leave most of the plants, at least that I'm growing, like outside. And
mm-hmm,
some of those, like I said, it's more like a 5 to 6 month window, and they just can't tolerate it getting any colder than it does.
mm.
Um, but right now we're getting ready to come into fall, so I have to bring everything that's on the front porch and back porch inside and do the preparing for winter transition.
Yeah.
Um, but
Do you supplement lighting inside?
yes, not now. I used to. In the place we were in before, we did not have as much natural lighting, so I had a whole lot of lights hanging up. They were just like LED strip lights.
Mm-hmm,
They worked pretty darn good. Because the winter before that, I did not have any supplemental lighting in the wintertime, and like everything died. I
mm,
also overwatered it. So not enough light, too much water, too cold.
yeah.
But I did grow my seedlings in the windowsill with the extra lighting because I think the lighting was up at that point.
Mm,
And like I said, some made it. I don't know if it was getting too cold by the windowsill. I've heard that like
yeah.
super like big fluctuations might take them
Yeah.
out. They definitely did not get too hot. So
Maybe heat mat. Maybe a heat mat.
I had a heat mat
Mm.
and that didn't do it either. That's why I was like, you know what? I'm out of the seed growing game for now. I'm not doing this.
Well, you
But
get an A+ for effort because it sounds like you've tried everything.
I did,
You're
and
doing it.
yeah, sometimes things just aren't for us, and that is okay because
Mm-hmm.
I propagate so many things
Yeah.
without having to grow from seeds, so it works out.
Yeah.
I got into African violets um, because my grandmother had one and it was dying, so I had taken it from her and revived it, and then I fell in love with African violets, and they're super easy to propagate. I have a pot here
Beautiful.
full of, it's like 4 little babies, and you can just propagate these from leaves. It's so easy.
Rad.
Um, and I get a lot more enjoyment from that than like just staring at the seeds not growing because it was so frustrating.
Dude,
Um,
I suck
but
at
this
that.
has been great.
Leaf propagation, I suck at. Every time I do it, I'll get the roots in a jar, I'll do it in a mason jar, I'll get the roots, and then when I put it in the dirt, it fucking dies every time. I
I've
don't have any
learned
that have survived.
I just leave them. I leave them in water for like as long as possible,
How long
until
is
it
that?
grows, like not just growing roots, but like I wait for them to grow a small plant. And then it's
Mm,
like, okay, now you can go in the dirt. And I found that some plants you can really just leave in water for quite a
y-
long time. And most of the ones that I've done that with actually seem to grow a lot more when they were just living in water than
mm.
when I put them in the dirt.
Now,
So
when you take them out of the water and you're transplanting them into soil, do you dry out the root system before?
no, I
Really? You
just
put it
take
in
them
wet?
right out of the water. I have my soil in my pot. It's already damp. I put a little hole in it and I put it down in there and then I water it and I
Okay.
leave it. And then I
Okay.
don't touch it for like until it completely dries out and I treat it like a grown plant.
Okay.
So, but
Cool.
I've had a lot of luck with that and it works because like I'm very low maintenance. I don't want plants that like require something every day all the time. So to propagate that way, it's really just a game of can you leave it alone?
Will it
Like not
survive?
over right,
Survival
right.
of the
Just
fittest.
that's right. Just leave it alone and like maybe top off the water every now and again. But like all of mine have all the green, I guess it's algae,
Uh-huh.
and everyone freaks out about the algae, but I read that it is not actually bad.
Okay.
Like unless your plant is rotting, the green
Mm,
stuff is fine. You can leave it. And that
yeah.
sounds good to me because I don't have to clean it out now. But
Can I forget about you?
yeah. Right. That's it. Just set it and forget it.
Yeah,
I'm very much for that.
I feel
Um,
that.
yeah.
What else? What else you got?
Oh, I think this is the last plant that I brought, and this is actually like a jar of cuttings, but this has become one of my favorite plants.
Oh,
Like
that's
all the cactus
dope.
people are not going to care for any of this stuff that I've
Whatever,
just
dude.
shown, um,
I
which
do.
is fine.
I
Everyone doesn't
care.
have to like everything, but
Yeah.
this is a Calisha repens Bianca, and this thing grows like a weed, and it's so easy to grow. Like new plant people, if you've been into plants your whole life, like it's really pretty. You can you can propagate the crap out of it, and
What's the
it's just
medium? Let's see. I want to see it
um
again. It's beautiful. What do you got there?
I've got I think this is like Fox Farms, the
I
ocean
see.
mix. I don't
I
know what
see
it
it.
is. Charcoal, because this does not have a hole, so the charcoal helps.
Mm,
You still don't want to overwater, but it's just like a little, it'll just help it not get moldy and gross.
okay.
What else? I put a little of worm castings in there, perlite. I think that's it. It's a pretty basic mix, but it's good. Like they like it.
Now
So
tell me the main name again. The
of the
first name?
plant,
Yeah.
um,
How about
I think it's pronounced Kalisha
Kalisha?
repens, and I guess the variety is like Bianca.
Okay.
Yeah, I made sure like I knew these plants' names before. I was like, okay, which one do I know? Because I'm terrible with the names. I used to beat myself up like I'm not even a real plant person. I can't remember any of this. And now I'm like, well, I like that one. And I
Yeah.
just, if it sticks, it sticks great. If not, that's fine.
I
So
feel that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have tags on all my shit, and I
Oh,
learned names like the podcast has helped me immensely. If you go back to the beginning, I didn't know shit about shit, and like now I'm like getting a little more well versed, and then doing pop ups for the house plants has helped me immensely too because they people always ask, "What is this?"
yep,
And I did not know houseplant names, but now I'm
right.
starting to. And shout out to Kimmy Hashi. Every time I've done a pop up, I send her pictures of the plants I bought. And she fucking responds to each one. This is this. This is
Nice.
this. So now I
You
know them.
you need those people in your life, you know.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of plant friends that, if I'm really like too ashamed to post it, but and ask, like, I can send them a picture. But most of the time I'll just post it and be like, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not. I don't, it's pretty.
Yeah.
And maybe that's terrible, but I really appreciate the beauty of the plants and figuring out what I can do with them and what they're gonna do here,
Yeah.
because they're living their own lives too. So
Yeah.
I just enjoy them very much so. So,
I have a bunch of archived posts of misidentified plants from the early days of Earthling Botanical for sure, dude. Like I would post, I'd just be like be using one of those plant identifier apps that are wildly inaccurate,
right?
and like, it
Did you
kind of
pay
looks like
for them?
it. Oh yeah, I
Oh
did
yeah.
that too.
See, that's a shame. Those should be right,
They're garbage.
That's terrible. I'm so sorry. I tried, I was almost downloaded one of those and it was like, you have to pay money. And I was like, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. It was probably $1. And I'm such a a cheapskate when it comes to some things. It's like, absolutely not.
I feel you.
But no, I always try to like save emails that's like, hey Diamond, you bought this thing on Etsy, it's this. So I can go
Mm,
back later and be like, it was this one. And then I'll post a picture and be like, it's this. But I
mm.
couldn't tell you 5 minutes later what it was. Like it's in and out so fast. It's fine. I just look at them and enjoy them.
So where did the name Plantastic Sparkle come from? And then I want to, if you're open to fielding these questions, I got some questions for you from
Really? Oh,
listeners.
okay, cool. Plantastic Sparkle is just a slight change from my old name, which was Futuristic Sparkle. And the futuristic part didn't really come from like my personality. I just like, I don't know, at the time I was really into like outer space and time travel and like
Hell yeah.
how insanely large the universe is, and like
Okay.
futuristic just sounded great, even though all that's really just about outer space, but that's fine. And Sparkle, I always get nicknames from people like Sunshine or Sparkle, Sparkles, stuff like that. So I guess just because I'm always trying to bring a little bit of light, to people's lives.
I love that.
So
So that's what they called you out there, Sparkle?
yeah, I had friends that called me Sparkle, a lot of people that called me Sunshine. But it wasn't like, I don't know, I've never had like a large group of friends. So
Mm.
especially people that knew each other. I always had like the most random friends, like people a little younger than me or like 30 years older than me. And they're like, no one ever knew each other, but that's all right. But yeah, once I fell in love with plants and my Instagram just became a Plantstagram, I was like, well, I should probably change that. But
Mm.
I found out there's someone, I think it's Plantastica,
I've seen
and
it.
that, yeah. And I was like, oh no, my name's kind of close to that. Should I change it? And I was like, no, we're too
No.
deep now, we
Yeah,
just got to
no.
keep doing this. So that's what I use. It's who I
So
am
do you
now.
you don't have a personal account anymore? You transitioned strictly to a plant page?
I
Oh,
did,
I'm
and
jealous.
I even went and I archived like all my selfies. Like I used to be into makeup, these like heavy filters on there, and I would scroll through and be like, look how cute I was 3 years ago. And I'm like, none of this is real. Like it's makeup and it's filters, and this isn't me. And I archived everything.
Mm.
Pretty much plants. There's like one picture of my face, and I think it's the one that you used for the questions.
Mm.
That's all
Yeah.
that's left. So yeah.
You're blasted up too, right? You got sleeves?
A little bit. I got one,
Okay.
like this arm's almost done, and then I
Dope.
wore this giant sweatshirt. You can't really see it, but I've got the
Cool.
top half done. I'm gonna cover whatever's left with big blue cacti.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I'll get there. Those things are expensive, both the
Yeah.
and the tattoos. So like,
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I haven't gotten a tattoo in so long because it's just it's not out of my price range.
yep. And I just don't, I could probably spend a little bit less, but I don't want to cover something up later. Like I've
Yeah.
already done that a few
Do it
times. I
right.
learned my lesson. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait. And when I have the money for the good ink, I'll finish it up. But
Yeah.
uh
All right. You want to field these questions?
okay, I think so.
Okay. Let's
I
do
didn't
it.
think anyone was gonna ask any questions.
Well, we got some.
What?
The first one comes from Coco Geek Plants. Joseph asked, best begonia care tips.
Oh goodness. Okay, here we go.
You got some of
Um,
those? Some begonias?
oh yeah, I've got maybe four different types of begonias. A begonia was one of my first plants that I got, and I almost killed it. I learned to not let them get super dry in between waterings.
Okay.
And while they do like a really good like bottom watering, like a butt chug, so to say, I have found that if you hit them with like the hose in your sink and just get all the like where the new growth is going to come out, just rinse the leaves off, like my plants exploded after I started doing that.
Mm,
um and fertilize them, like fertilize your plants.
yeah.
And one thing I did not realize in the beginning with begonias is how much light they can actually tolerate. I keep mine inside, but I feel like plenty of people keep them outside. So if you
Hmm.
have them inside, don't put them where you would put your snake plant, put them where you're putting the cacti and stuff inside. They need light.
Mm,
I got some flowers by increasing the light. So
dope.
it's probably the most exciting part about the begonias is the
What
flowers.
wasn't there one called Angel something? What is it called?
Angel wings.
Angel
I,
Wings. I had
I think
one. I killed
that's
it.
the maybe it's a maculata or something like that. I
I,
almost killed mine,
mm,
but I
has polka dots,
propagated it.
right?
Yep, the
Yeah.
silvery, they're real pretty. It looks like a
Beautiful
painting.
plant. Yeah.
Yes. But I hated mine. Like a couple weeks in, I was like, it's crispy. It doesn't, this is terrible. But we learned how to live with each other. And she's like one of my oldest plants now
That's so
and
funny.
thriving.
That's so funny. I mistreated mine and I always talk shit on it. And I would always tell my lady, I hate this fucking plant. I'm gonna throw it away one day. And eventually it fucking died. I neglected it and mistreated it, and I talked poorly to it, to her,
Yep.
to him, they, I don't know. But it
Yeah.
was that. It
They
was a
they hear you.
begonia.
They hear you. You got to tell them nice things. Like
I know.
unless it's a caletheia, then no, I'm just joking. I have a few. They're doing okay.
They
So
like the abuse.
yeah, I used to hate those as well, but
Okay, Coco Geek Plants. Joseph said, you mentioned in a post meditation. How long have you been doing that? We didn't know. We don't know. Because I heard about it, but I don't know how long. When did you implement meditation?
um I've been meditating more frequently, probably in the last 6 weeks to 6 to 8 weeks.
Mm,
Just because like I really had to, like I had to take time away to find that peace of mind. Just let everything stop for a while. But for as long as I can remember, like I have tried to meditate. And it's
mm,
so strange when you realize that like if you just stop fighting trying to meditate,
yeah.
it just happens. So I think in many ways I've been meditating for maybe in my own way, like 15 years.
Nice.
Definitely not just sitting, I'm not sitting on a
You're
mat
not a
in front
monk.
of my crystals and yeah, it's not like that, but just taking time to just stop and like ground yourself and just realize, I'm just a being here. I
Yes.
have some control, but very little control, and I can't let that consume me. And I'm
Yes.
just existing. Like I'm just here. I'm just here existing. It's okay.
I
And
feel that.
yeah.
Bringing yourself back to the moment,
Yep.
you
Yep. You
know?
have to, because that's all we have.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to like because for me it started with yoga, and then I started trying to meditate, and I'm definitely not like a avid meditator, but I like to do it, and like sometimes I'll do it for my groups and stuff when I'm running group. But I like when you notice like something a thought comes up where you're trying to focus on your breath, and like getting to that point where you're like, okay, like I'm thinking about something else. That's okay. Now go back, you
Right.
know? Like
Right.
reminding yourself that it's okay that these other thoughts are coming up, and then it's not, you don't have to be fucking perfect,
Right. Because
just
that's
trying to bring yourself back to that breath,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, you have to let those things have their space. They can't have
Yes.
all the space, but like if you're fighting to keep it out, it's like no, you can't do that because it's
Yeah.
there. You can't just turn it all off. Not to say that there's not people who have mastered
Right.
being able to like truly turn it all off. I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
chatter, the internal chatter.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We got Botanic Cycles. Andres asked, what's your favorite scary movie and why? I like
That's
this
such a
question.
hard one. That's such a hard one because there's so many good scary movies out there that are good for different reasons.
Are you a horror freak? A
Yeah,
horror
but
fanatic?
I am, but I'm really bad with like the names of movies, and now I feel like I'm gonna make a fool of myself and be like, yeah, that movie where this is happening, but it's totally the wrong movie.
I'll help you.
Okay, I
I
have
like
to tell you,
slashers. I like classic slashers. Like
slashers are good.
all time classic is Halloween 1976.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of kind of the paranormal side.
Mm,
I love my gore, love blood and gore, very much so. Uh, those were my favorites as a child. Uh, that's what
mm,
I had. But no, like right now, if I had to think of two that were my favorite, it would be The Haunting
mm.
and The House on Haunted Hill, not the original, the remake.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a scene in that movie where they're down in the basement and the woman's like looking through the camera and she looks over and there's this spirit and it's doing this weird like wiggle thing. And
Mm.
like the moment I saw it, I was like, oh no. And like that imagery has just never left my mind. So yeah, that one left a mark.
Yeah.
So I'll take both of those. And The Haunting in general was just like those are some strong spirits or ghosts, or I don't even remember at this point specifically what it was, but it was scary.
Dude, I love movies like that, supernatural and yeah, like
Yeah,
paranormal stuff, like you were saying. But you know, like even those, but the on the other side too, like those Rob Zombie movies were really good, like The Hills Have Eyes and those other
yeah,
more new age. And he redid
yeah.
Halloween; those were cool. But yeah, I love paranormal stuff. Have you experienced any paranormal stuff in your life?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think there have been plenty of times that I felt really uneasy, but to
Mm-hmm.
like be able to look at something and go, that's definitely paranormal. I don't think so. I
Mm,
did have a situation where a friend of mine was house sitting and he was like, "Hey, this is a haunted house. Like, I know the owners personally. Like, weird things happen there all the time." He was like,
yeah.
"Do you want to come hang out?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And I went over there and I was like, "Okay, so what kind of things happen?" And he was like, "Sometimes the power goes out or it just flickers." And I mean, even at like 16, I'm not naive enough to think that someone couldn't be like turning the switches off. But we were hanging out, not underage drinking, and all of the sudden like it was just out of nowhere, like the lights flickered and he was like, "See, that's what I'm talking about." And they've had like all their electrical redone. Like it was an old home, but like everything was like real up to date and state of the art. And he was like, "This is how it begins." And then the lights went out and he was like, "Nope." And he just left. Like he wasn't like, "Come on, we have to go." He was on the go. And I was like, I have to go too because this is terrifying. But maybe had he stayed and tried to be like comforting, I would have been like, "Oh, this is a setup." But no, he just took off. So I think it was genuine. Um,
So it
but
wasn't one of those things where you could like feel it was fucking haunted. You know, like you look at certain houses and you can just feel it. It's like some
yeah, it
shit went
didn't
down
feel like
here.
that. Yeah, it didn't feel like that to me. Like when I was there, it was just
Yeah.
real, like, I mean, like I said, it was an uneasy feeling, but I didn't go
Yeah.
in there like, "Uh-oh, we should leave."
Yeah.
I've actually not had a lot of experiences like that with the paranormal, but I've definitely had that feeling in like real life situations where it's going to go down. This is not good. Like, I think
Mm,
we should not be here.
intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Something
no,
bad's about to happen.
yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
should get out of here. Like,
And then
this
it
is not a
does.
good person. This is weird. Something's off. And
Yeah.
I've learned to listen to that. Like, even if people think, "Oh, you're just paranoid," it's like, well, I'm alive. So
Mm,
it's
got me
done
this
me
far.
good. Yep. I'm going to keep listening to that.
What about
So,
UFOs? Do you believe in aliens?
oh yeah. I
Fuck
think the
yeah.
universe is way too big for us to be the only ones here. And I've always kind of believed that. Like just growing up, my mom was like, she's like, "When I get old, I'm gonna be one of those women wearing the tinfoil hats." And so I just grew up in a household where like that was not frowned upon. That wasn't
Fuck
something
yeah.
crazy. It's like, yeah, aliens do exist. But I think just especially learning, like as I got older, how crazy big the universe is. I don't know how we're the only ones. So
You're the first guest that I've asked this, and I always beat myself up after, because I'll be like, if it's a guest that I think would have said yes, I'll be like, damn it, why didn't I ask? So in 37 episodes, I've never asked anyone what their thoughts on UFOs are, but that's fucking
that's a
rad.
shame.
I'm a
That's a
UFO
shame. That's
freak.
got to be in every show.
I know,
Yeah.
I gotta start asking people, do you think it's possible that there's extraterrestrial influence on society? Yes, she's
Oh
nodding
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And not to be like, oh God, you always don't want to say too much on the internet because people are like, no, I saw that interview. She's out there. But it's like they have found things on this earth that are so old, and
Yes.
like science cannot deny, like, hey, millions of years ago, this piece of a screw. And it's like, well, where did that come from?
Right.
What did you guys say was going on at that time? Not this.
Yeah.
So how do you explain that?
What about those
Um,
precision cuts and that you can
yep.
fit a piece of paper on these ancient monoliths and these structures that we still cannot replicate today? Where the fuck did that come from? How'd they move boulders from another side of the fucking continent? You
Yep.
know? And it's
Yep.
crazy, dude.
Now I did hear, and information goes so fast with me, it's terrible. But I believe that they said that some of these large, like these square rock formations or whatever, that they were actually moved using like water. Like they would get the sand wet and it was easier to push the object, like it's significantly easier to move this giant rock.
Mhm.
um, I don't know, that sounds like it makes sense to me, but it does not explain, you know how'd they get those rocks up there if we're using like pulley systems.
Yeah.
And like that doesn't make any sense. And I
Yeah.
think they also said that like the pyramids were not built by slaves.
Right.
Like that that was like a big thing that they talked about for so long, was, well, clearly these pyramids required all this human labor. But no, they were saying like this took people who knew what they were doing, and like they had to know what they were doing to move these safely. So for as
Yeah.
long as it took, like you would have, that it I don't know.
And their vast understanding of astronomy and mathematics, like
Yeah.
insane. All
Yep.
these like alignments and how they did it, and everything's like all precise, and like, man, I'm super fascinated by that kind of shit. I get lost in those
Oh
kinds
yeah.
of shows and podcasts.
Oh
Is
yeah.
it possible that ancient extraterrestrials
And
helped
every time
build?
I'm like, yes, probably. There's a good chance. Keep going with what you're going to tell me, but no,
Yeah.
I used to be like a huge fan of Ancient Aliens up until they just started they
Too
got really weird
crazy.
with it. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, no,
They ran
no,
out of shit
that's,
to say.
yeah, not that one. Go back to like the first season. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
I see where we're going there. But, oh,
Yeah. Fascinating stuff, man. Yeah, and then there's also, not to mention, the government has basically straight up admitted that UFOs are real.
yeah, yeah,
Straight up mainstream media is saying it. Now they're preparing us. I think they're preparing us for like full disclosure.
I agree.
In our
I
lifetime, we're gonna
agree.
know what the fuck's going on out there,
Well,
man.
we've got all these movies, and it used to be very much like, oh, alien invasion, they're killing us all. And now it's you see a lot of very different takes on like aliens coming here and why they're coming here in fictional movies. And it's just like it's putting out a very different narrative. i don't
Yes.
I don't mean like, I know this is what they're doing. I don't want to sound like
Yeah.
crazy. I'm just saying it's very interesting how now it's more like, what is it, District 9, like a movie like that, where these aliens are here, but they're almost kept in like poverty. And it's like, oh, we already do that to our own people here.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it just makes you wonder. Like,
I think we are extraterrestrials. Many different races of extraterrestrials. You know, that's
yeah,
what I think. That's what I think.
I mean, I'm not,
We're
I'm
from the
not going to
stars, man.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Like, how do we, it kind of goes back to just talking about like ancient technologies and how did we know, these things back then with the stars. And it's like, maybe that's where we came from.
Yeah.
Maybe we're the aliens. uh
Yes. We
Maybe.
are what we've been looking for all along.
That's right, we're right here. what do they say? Like what you're looking for is usually just right in front of you. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, maybe we've just lost a lot of our abilities and our knowledge,
Right. Um, could be. It could be. Maybe we just get to a point where we do the same thing every time
and
and
we
we
fuck
destroy
ourselves over.
ourselves. Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
I've wondered that many times because it's like, well, look what we've done now with all this great technology. And it's like, we could be doing a lot of really great stuff with all this technology. And instead, it's just like money, 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 consumerism, buy the things, you're unhappy, you need this. And it's like, hey, this isn't what we're here to do, but that's what we're doing.
I think
And
we may get to a point where we're like, this was a mistake. We need to like
yeah,
go back to the trees, go back to like interpersonal relationships. People don't look each
yeah.
other in the fucking eye anymore. Here we are as we speak through Zoom, but none on a podcast. But
People really need to get together in person and, uh,
but
but
for real,
well,
the
yeah. And
phones, man.
well, and it's so, I think about this all the time because I feel like on one hand, I'm like, we should not, be destroying the earth, but it's like, here I am driving in my car
Mm,
that's clearly on a highway that just took out like all this living space for the creatures that are here. So who am I to say anything like I'm contributing to it? And, I hate that we clear out land to just run internet lines through it. But at
yeah,
the same time, if we didn't do that, people wouldn't be able to communicate like they do. And, communication is knowledge and knowledge is power. And there's just got to be a better way to do it.
yeah.
So I hope we
Maybe
figure that out real soon.
maybe individually we gotta like get better about balance and stuff. It's something that I try to work on and then I'll lose track of it, dude. Like I'll unplug. But like when I see my screen time is like upwards of 6 hours, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing, dude?
Yeah.
What am I doing? I got a
Yeah.
kid fucking 10 feet away from me, that needs me. And I'm
Yeah.
fucking swiping through fucking Instagram, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's so impulsive too. Like I fucking can't put it down, man. And reach in my pocket.
Well, and I feel like a lot of that is it's like we're kind of expected like to be in hyperdrive and overdrive mentally all the time. We should be able to multitask. And it's like, you know, I think of people like my grandma's age and even my mother's age, and they're like, oh, kids these days, all they do, they're on their devices, they're playing video games. And it's like, well, yeah, but they had those when they were itty bitty. Like
Yeah.
kids are just growing up on an iPhone now. Like you had a chalkboard.
Yeah.
No wonder you weren't on it all day. That's boring. And now like kids can't even go play together because we're in the middle of a pandemic. And it's like, what do you expect people to do? So,
Yeah.
but it's, it's kind of how we're brought up now. I was looking at my phone right now and I'm like, man, I use that thing a lot, but it's
Yeah.
just, I feel like it's the world we live in, but it's
For
good to be
sure.
conscious of it. But
Yeah.
what do you do when you break away? I feel like everything's like, come back, connect to the world, get on the phone. You're like,
Right.
I'm trying to connect with the earth. But
Yeah.
uh
Oh, well, at least people like us, like around our age group, there was a point where we didn't have them, so we can still kind of pass that down to our kids, the importance of like not being so wrapped up. But our kids are probably, they're not gonna have that. They're not gonna have that
no,
part of their life where it didn't exist, and know what it's like without it, which I hope that
right?
changes, man. I really do.
I don't know. It would be great if it did. I just feel like with the way the world is growing and the way technology and the direction it's going, I mean, it's really just encouraging us use the devices more, all of them.
Implanted in your brain.
Yeah. I mean, like how far are we from having like a screen on our arm? Like I could have sworn that I saw some technology where like it basically just it wasn't like in your skin, but it like put the image onto your skin. You couldn't see
For
it if you had a
real.
tattoo there, I guess. But I guess if you had, I don't know. But if we're getting there, like we're probably not far from implanted screens in our arms. But
In the same note, though, like, and it's such a fucked up world we're living in now. I'm really grateful to be able to do this with you. Like I've been really enjoying this. So, like, and on the flip side, you got the plant community, and a lot of great things have happened because of that for me. And like, Also, I run my business completely online, but it's like, I don't know, man. I just need some balance in my life. I've got more questions for you.
Okay.
We were talking about scary movies, and now we've moved on.
Yes.
Andres' next question. We went way
Yeah,
into the
I
deep
forgot
end.
about questions. So sorry.
No, it's
Back to the regularly scheduled program.
I enjoyed this, dude. Andres asked, uh, cactus or tropicals?
Oh, oh. Um, you know what? I cannot have one without the other. And I never want to live a life where I have to choose between the two,
Mm,
because I started with cacti and I love the cacti. I love the euphorbias as well and the succulents. But there are times when, like in this environment here, things just don't make it. And that's where I have the house plants, because they're just trucking along. They just keep going all year long inside. They're fine.
mhm.
But if it was just houseplants, that would not be enjoyable for me. Like I need the variety. So I can't make a decision.
You don't discriminate.
Yeah, that feels wrong. There's
Yeah.
plants all around me right now. They don't need to hear that.
I
They
told
are
you the other
equally
day,
important.
plant lives matter.
That's right, every single one of them.
How have plants impacted your life? Andres asked.
Greatly, greatly in every way.
Mm.
Um, it's kept my hands busy. I find myself reaching for pointless time fillers a lot less often, even though I'm
Mm.
literally on Instagram looking at plants or looking stuff up about plants. But um, it keeps my hands busy. It gives me something to hyper focus on if my mind is racing, and it brings me peace when I need peace, and it gives me something to do when I can't, physically get to the peaceful state that I need to be in, and I just need to let it out.
Yeah,
You know, so
love that.
yeah.
Love that. Relate to that. All right. Sherman Merman asked, where did you get the pierced booby pot?
The Pierce Booby
I
Pot.
know. I know.
Oh,
Let's show it.
yes. I want to show it again. I'm so glad they asked, because this was from Naked City Ceramics.
Mm.
Uh, I believe her name's Portia Wiley. I'm gonna get her last name wrong and be really ashamed, because I love her. Um, she does like custom booby pots, and in my opinion, they're just like some of the most beautiful pots out there. And
Oh,
anytime I see she's taking requests, like I try to get in there, try to get one, because her artistic process is unique, and it takes time to make the magic she does. But
right.
yeah, go check her out. Naked City Ceramics is her
I,
handle on Instagram.
I was going to guess wrong. Don't listen to me. Uh, Cactus Dan Man, he said, what are some of your favorite plant nurseries or plant shops? It's pretty limited, huh?
Yes, there's not a ton around here. There is one in Greensboro. If we're talking like in person, not online, there
Sure.
is one in Greensboro called the Big Greenhouse, and they probably have like the biggest variety. Um, they have some of the largest cacti I've seen locally, but not a big variety of large cacti. They've had like the same Peruvian apple cactus for like 2 years now. But anyway, they're
How
big. They
dare
have a
you?
good variety of houseplants. What else is around here? There's New Garden Nursery at the Gazebo. So if anyone is local to the Greensboro or High Point area, you should definitely check them out. They have pots, like all kinds of supplies and plants in general, indoor and outdoor. And they have some really pretty trees. Like if you're into decorative trees or fruiting trees, a lot of variety.
Dope.
But yeah, those are probably my go-tos.
Now, you guys do have a climate that's good for fruit trees, right?
For some, yeah,
Some. Okay.
for some of them. Like we have a peach tree that stays outside year round, and it is self-pollinating, but it only makes like one peach a year.
Mm,
Then I have a lemon tree, and it cannot stay outside here year round.
mm.
So I did leave it outside, and it died all the way back, but it grew bigger than it was when I got it. this season. So I'll just have to bring it in for the winter.
You guys get snow?
Yeah, we
Okay.
do. But it's not like it used to be. You know, I've been here like my whole life, and I just remember us having snows where, I mean, you could like make a little tunnel through it. You know, it wasn't like 8 feet deep, but it was big enough when you're a kid, you can tunnel through it. And
Mm,
now it'll snow and it'll stick around for like a day and then it's gone. And
bummer.
yeah,
Climate
definitely.
change.
Yep. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. I can see it. Like I see it with my own eyes. Like I said, I've lived here forever. Something is very different. And the humidity has changed
Mm.
as well. That's been strange. I feel like it's more humid than it used to be.
You know what we see here now is it's hotter earlier in the quote unquote summer, and it's summer way fucking longer. It stays
Yeah.
into the 90s into well into October sometimes now. We've been having these crazy Indian summers, and I know it's not just me that's thinking that. Like we can see it. We're drought. We're in a
Right.
constant drought state of drought, and it's fucking hot and dry. No rain at
Right.
all. And that's not
Yeah.
what it was like when I was a kid. We used to get rain.
Right. No, and I heard I, I don't even know what the special was, but there was some folks that lived in, I want to say like just to the east of the California state line, and they were saying like we have watched this entire area, like there used to be like regular desert greenery, like shrubbery and cacti, and they're like now nothing grows here, like because
Mm,
of the practices of maybe the electrical company. Watch it be PG&E as per
mm,
usual. Uh, Sorry,
yeah.
but it's sad that we just keep, I know like we're humans, we have needs and you got to be able to take care of everyone, but it's like the more people we're making, it's just putting such a strain, and we're
Mm,
using, this antiquated technology to do things, and it's killing the environment. And
yeah.
I feel it, you feel it, you know.
But it takes conscious people like ourselves to, be the change. So
It does.
we
It
got
does.
this.
Yeah.
We shall
Yeah.
overcome.
Yeah. It's going to be great. Right.
But
I tell myself
Andres
that all
also
the time.
asked, Botanic Cycle said, when will we see more of Kaya, your dog?
Oh, I can post more pictures of Kaya for sure.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken. She is, I love that dog. We've had her for about 2 years now. I think our gotcha day is actually coming up like on the 19th, that we've had her for 2 years. She's been
Dope.
such a light to our life, and it's cute. She'll go around and like if I'm taking care of the plants, she'll stop and like she'll look at the plants and like sniff on them and make sure I've taken care of them and that she's happy with it. So,
That's cool.
but yeah, I'll have to post her more.
I don't think I've seen her. Maybe I have. Is she small?
Um,
You're
she's
big
not a
too.
big dog. She's like a medium to small dog.
Mm.
She's she has a name that is now considered controversial, but it is her name. She is an American Eskimo dog,
Mm.
and the community gets a lot of flack, even though we did not put the name in place. It is just
Yeah.
they're all white dogs. They're named for like snow.
Mm.
Um, so they should probably change that.
So
But
Eskimo is offensive.
that's what I don't know. Like
Okay.
I'm in some of these dog groups and people are like, you guys shouldn't be saying that. And we're
Mm.
like, okay,
Mm.
you can't tell someone that they shouldn't be offended.
Yeah. Right.
I guess there's two sides to that, because there's some people that are like, no, that's literally who we are. So
There's some
I don't know.
plants that have offensive names too. Actually, I won't say
Yes.
it, but
Nope.
there are.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Kalisha repens, I think, is in the same family as the Tradescantia,
Mm.
which I believe is one of the plants with a knot. That's a terrible name.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we got to work on that too. Yeah. I think is like, there's more of the younger generations coming in. I think we'll
Mm-hmm.
start to see a lot more of like, no, we're not saying that anymore, which is
Right.
a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they were named in time many like a much different era.
yep, yeah,
Things have changed.
quite a
So
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
plant names should change with them, and dog names.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get up to date with these things. So.
Yeah. I agree. Cactus Dan Man, what is your favorite genus or type of plants?
Um, Probably cacti, just of any kind. I love the cacti.
That's right.
That or African violets. And I don't know if technically either of those is a genus because I'm really bad about the organization of those Latin names, but those
Yeah.
are some of my two favorites to care for. Any
I'd be
kind of
lying if I
cacti.
told you I knew. I don't know. I think cactus is a
Yeah.
species, though. It's a
So, yeah.
subspecies of succulents.
Yes.
Sunrise cactus.
Oh, whoa. Things just got, it is hot in here. No, I love sunrise cactus. Like
That's
I
the
love his
homie right there.
energy, and yes, he is awesome.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
fantastic.
He cracks me up.
He's been through some things, and I
Yeah.
respect for his journey and you know what he's doing now. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's very open about that. I respect that too, and especially he's a younger gentleman. You wouldn't get that from like the way he presents himself and
right,
shit too. Like
absolutely.
that dude's been through some shit. You can tell.
Yep, yep. You grow up quick.
Yeah, yeah. I never get to be a kid.
Yep.
Relate to that for sure.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, let's see. We're almost done with the questions. Botanic cycles. Do you prefer grouping your plants up or potting individually?
In the beginning, I was into putting a bunch of plants in one container. And then I found out that even though they were all cacti, some of them wanted different things than the other cacti in the pot, and I lost a lot. So then I had like a strict rule where I did not pot anything together. Like everything was separate if it was not the same kind of plant. But as my collection grew and I did not want to water like 500 individual pots, I was like, we can probably group some of these back together now that I know enough that, you know, these 5 will be okay together. And I should not put that one in here because it's not going to want the same type of watering or sun requirements, whatever. So I'm getting back to grouping, but I still kind of love like my individual specimen pots. Like, yeah.
Do you experiment with soil at all or anything of that nature?
Like as far as making my own,
Sure,
or
yeah, or inorganic over organic, a certain
oh,
percentage.
yeah, I kind of had to figure that out in the beginning because that first December that I started getting into plants, I killed everything. And I was like, okay, Miracle Grow succulent mix is terrible. And this is a lie. This is not well draining and this is not going to do the trick. And then I discovered perlite. And I remember at first I thought it was plastic. So I was terrified to use it. And then I realized it was not. So I started using just hella perlite.
Yeah.
And then I started mixing in the things like the worm castings and charcoal occasionally, if I think the vessel calls for it. But I would like to learn more about like the completely inorganic mixes. I just don't know if that would work best for me because I don't want to water all the time. And I feel like when they're grown, with the inorganic, like you know, it's not everyday watering, but I can't go 3 weeks in the middle of, you know, the summer in North Carolina and then make it through. Like I already tried that this year. It was not good. Things died. So
no, you're absolutely right. And I don't do any like sometimes I'll house things in inorganic like temporarily, but no, I definitely like to have some. I heard you mention Fox Farm. Fox Farms is a shit.
Yeah.
Because you got the nutrients that's coming from that too. And
yes, there's a lot of people have used it for growing other things that
cannabis.
Yes, I have never grown that, but I remember bringing it home and someone I knew, I don't want to say anything too much because like in North Carolina, it is totally not legal here, like at all. We've got CBD now and like, people lose their minds over that. Wow. But they were like, yeah, I remember back in my day, I used Fox Farms and I was like, oh, good. I got the good stuff then. But yeah, since I started using that stuff, like I will never go back to the Miracle Grow mix. Like there's
Yeah.
pieces of glass in there and stuff. Like what? I could make this at home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, it's the shit. And you don't need a lot of it, especially if you're using things like perlite and pumice and whatnot. But you're right about the having to water more frequently on the inorganic too. Let's see. Andres asked another question. Do you recommend any good plant books?
oh no. I am embarrassed to say that like I have one book, I have two books on plants. One is a totally useless one that I got from Ollie's for $5 on succulents, and like half of them are wrong.
Mm,
So, but the other one I got is actually written by Gary Duke
mm,
out of Long Beach,
mm-hmm.
California. And he has a book. It's extremely informative, but I believe most of it is like if you're planting things outside.
Yeah.
So I've read like part of the book, but not all of it yet. But I would recommend anyone who's looking to do like a big xeriscape. I believe
Mm-hmm.
that if you're looking to do something like that, you should definitely check out his book. And he's on Instagram, so you can find him on there and get a
Hell yeah.
copy of this book. Yeah,
Yeah. Something about microclimates. It's in the title, right? Something microclimate. I don't
I think
remember.
so.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I'm still getting situated here. I believe that's like 10 feet away on a bookshelf, but that sounds
No
about
worries. Two more questions. Cactus Dan Man, what are some of the biggest tips you would give to someone who is getting into plants?
right. Don't overwater your plants
Mm,
and be prepared to spend money on what
mm.
your plant needs after you bring it home. Like, just don't assume that you've got a bag of Miracle Grow succulent mix and that's going to keep your $50 eBay Echeveria cutting alive. It might, but like, just be prepared. There's going to be costs. Like, just try to maybe do a little research before, or you're going to be really disappointed just because you're
Mm,
losing so many plants. So, yeah,
yeah, I like
I
that.
guess.
Don't dive in blindly.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do, that's okay, because I did that a lot
Yeah.
too. And just speaking from experience, like it's probably going to suck. So a little research, maybe
Mm, mm,
something. Yeah.
yeah. And well, and I would imagine that you've had some challenges being in the climate that you are and the type of genus and species that you like to grow too. Lots of
Yeah,
experimentation, huh?
absolutely. And I think I've gotten my soil mix to a point now where it pretty much every plant, it's all the same components, but just depending on the type of plant, I'll add more of one thing, less of another. And, you know, if I have a batch mixed up and it's like, oh no, now I need to do a bunch of cactus and I was just doing um, a bunch of house plants, I just need to throw in perlite and everything else is good. So I'm not having to make like super specialty soil mixes. I've got it down.
Nice.
So yeah, that's been a lifesaver.
Dope. Last
What are they?
question. How many plants do you think you have?
I think I counted the other day the indoor plants downstairs, and I want to say it was like 184 or something
Damn.
like that. I think I have like 30 upstairs in my bedroom, and then there's the porch plants, and I want to say that there's probably 50 out there. So
Wow.
yeah, but that's nothing like compared to where I was like this time last year. Like I had well over 450, 500 plants. Like, yeah, yeah. And I just murdered all of them. So
Dude,
yeah, it was brutal. Winter
that's
was not
wild.
kind. Yeah. But it was probably for the best because that's too many for me. That was too many
Mm,
plants. So, but
yeah.
yeah, 300's reasonable now. So I'm in a good spot, you know.
Dude,
Yeah.
indoor wise, I probably have 20 plants at the most. There's been times where I got carried away for sure, especially with like outdoor plants, but like altogether, I probably have as much as your littlest number was, like if that, for
Yep.
sure.
It's
For sure.
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. If you can limit yourself, you know, that my number of plants is just an example of like the lack of self-control I have when it comes to like, you know, just fixating on something and being like, okay, we're doing this. So
I feel you.
yeah. But like I always say, it could be something much worse than plants. So
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely can. Well, thank you so much, Diamond. This has been rad. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much. You've been an awesome host, and I'm glad we finally got together after all this time. So,
Yeah, rad. And especially the aliens. Super stoked on that.
yeah.
Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
I am just on the Instagrams at Plantastic Sparkle. So check out my page of only plants for the most part.
It's your only plants.
That's right. This is my only plants. So, just one on my face. The
All
rest is
right.
all
Plantastic
right.
Sparkle, everybody. If everyone could please like, review, and subscribe to the podcast and hit that share button, I would appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. Bye.